This week's review, the 2001 French film by Jean-Pierre Jeunet, Amélie. What can we say about this one? C'est magnifique. Debate. James.
Straight on. I thought it was really, really, really good. I really enjoyed it. I think some key points to pull out. I guess I think there was something that maybe you mentioned, Liam, maybe towards the end of when we caught up last time, around it's meant to be quite. I was going to say sensual. That's not the right word.
Ooh la la.
That is the right word, I reckon.
But it is, isn't it? You kind of feel that all of the sound design, all of the camera work is really well put together, so that you feel like you're almost in this immersive kind of really tactile environment when you're watching the film. Even from the very first opening sequence, when she's doing all those little bits and pieces as a child, and she's making like loads of cutouts and blowing all these patterns through the paper and stuff like that. Everything just felt so intimate and close. And for me, the main thing which I think I enjoyed about the whole film was that it felt like it had so much life in it for throughout the whole thing. It was just buzzing full of life the whole 2 hours. But yeah, I'm interested to hear what the rest of you think.
I absolutely loved it as well. I thought it was just a gorgeous film from start to finish. Like the sepia tone that was throughout, the sort of almost Wes Anderson-esque blocking at the beginning and the narration over the top was really well done. All the characters, their personalities, they were semi kind of caricatured in a way, but they weren't over the top, and they all kind of lent itself to this semi kind of artistic feeling that the film had the whole way through without being over the top in any way. I like the little nuanced, sort of subtle storylines of the man with the brittle bones and sort of her mirroring her own emotions in the girl in the middle of the portrait that never gets noticed. I thought it just flowed really, really nicely. It was perfect length. And she was the main actress was perfect for it. She had a really captivating look. She had almost like Anne Hathaway-esque eyes, and they kind of drew you in a lot to it, and you could kind of feel her fighting her own inhibitions the whole way through it, and desperately wanting to break out of this shell that had been formed so early on. I just thought it was a really beautiful watch.
Really nicely put. Liam?
Yeah, echo all of the sentiments that have been put forward so far. I thought it was beautiful. I thought it was very light on its feet. There were sort of things that it was exploring, like interesting things that it was exploring, but it was always in a kind of very airy, very buoyant manner, which I appreciated. Like even the color palette of the film was always orange. It was always ochres and roses.
Yeah, sepia tone. Yeah.
I mean, it changed when it's looking back.
Also rated how the camera was moving as well throughout the film. There was loads of overhead shots, like really wacky, interesting shots with the camera to kind of like pull you into a particular, I don't know if it's the state of mind, but like if it was trying to dramatize like a kind of like hokey moment, then it would be all kind of bouncing around with strange like sound effects. It was even sometimes when the camera moves themselves had sound effects, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah.
Never seen that in films before. So I was attracted to that, certainly. And then also the performances. I thought the woman who played Amélie was like iconic. I thought she gave me Audrey Hepburn vibes. Just the way that she was, like her hair was designed. There were certain frames which I just thought like that's some really iconic performance and cinematography both. But the lighting was also brilliant, but there were just so many moments lit throughout the film that I just thought kind of exploded off the screen. Lots of life, lots of vitality.
The actress's name is Audrey Tautou.
Has she been in other stuff? Has she been in other films, or is that like?
Da Vinci Code she was in.
She was in Venus Beauty Institute, which she won a ton of awards for. I think she won the César Award, which is at Cannes. I can't say actually much recently, really. Maybe she's one of those actresses. I should have a look. Maybe she's one of those actresses that sort of was of that period and then sort of has fallen away slightly.
Deserves to be in more stuff for sure.
Yeah.
She has a real. Even when she wasn't speaking, there was so much life in her expression.
It's captivating.
She managed to say a lot without actually saying anything sometimes.
Yeah, captivating, really, wasn't it? And like you say, Liam, everything in the film complemented each other itself so well. Everything really was woven together so smoothly. But then also the fact that the camera work was how it was, it just, it wasn't smooth, but it was, and just the whole thing just flowed really well. And as an observer, really easy watch. But you're so engulfed in what you're seeing. Well, Jem, what did you think?
Again, I completely agree with everything that's been said so far. I thought it was
Got a full house.
A very easy watch, but not to the point where you want any more from it at all. It knows exactly what it's trying to deliver, and it does that perfectly. I thought the humour was just spot on. Like, there was moments where it was really, really funny, but it wasn't detracting from the main message of sort of good deeds and paying them forward type thing throughout the film. I thought the whole idea of presenting a film, other than the small passage at the start, the whole thing was a little microcosm of Paris, and that just made it so relatable. So you could just see the sort of day-to-day interactions with the same shape, same shops, same people, and that as a viewer, you're then getting to know the people without actually them providing much other than just sort of very basic interactions over and over again that just build up these great relationships between the people. And as I said, it just makes it really, really relatable as you're watching it, because everybody has interactions with people exactly like that. There's nothing crazy about it. And then there's the really interesting ways that they sort of, everyone thinks random things throughout their head about any scenario, but then they use that to effect. With her, like the one I can think of is her turning to water when she looks back at the chap, and it just little things like that where there was really nice, amusing animations and plot devices that were not overused but were still quite entertaining and
the epitome of how people's feelings were portrayed on screen, isn't it? People, feelings were done through visual interpretations
very
as well.
In a lot of cases.
In so many cases, and it's really interesting. Like you say, Tom, I can totally see where Wes Anderson probably. I'm not entirely sure. 2001, so Wes Anderson had probably done a couple of films by this point, but he probably hadn't found his muse by that point. But this is certainly one that you can that can relate heavily to his work. What did you think, Tom, in terms of? Did you like the character of Amélie from the start?
Yeah, I did, because I really liked the way they broke down each character by a couple of factoids at the beginning without having to delve too deep into their past to give them too much context. I think it gave the perfect amount. But from that initial start, although a lot of the tragedy is semi-humorized in that beginning phase, you have kind of initial compassion to her, and you realise that she's this waif of a woman later on, and she's conflicted as she wants to be so much more than she can be because she can't externalise her emotions very well. And I think that plays throughout the whole movie, that conflict that she's having. And I like that she becomes a semi kind of powerful protagonist throughout, and that she has her own sense of social justice that really ties the whole storyline together. So it becomes more than just a simple love story. It's that social justice aspect that lends the other dimensions to the film, such as humor, such as confusion, as you, for example, how you wonder how the elves get to all these various locations. But I think she brings a great positivity to the film. And throughout, I was watching this, and I really didn't want the kind of optimism, I guess, within the film to disappear. I didn't want a level of cynicism to creep into it, because I didn't feel like it needed it, and I didn't feel like she had that within her character, and I'm glad it didn't. And I think her character, even to the end scene, tied well, whereby she knows the decision she needs to make, but it takes her friend the painter to make it for her. That she, although she has empowered herself throughout, she's still that conflicted, almost shy individual. So it's nice to see that kind of blossom at the end. So although it's quite a simple, subtle character development, I think it's done really well.
James, what did you think about all of the characters and how they were developed? Because it was a very unique approach, wasn't it?
Yeah, no. It's funny because whenever you watch films, for me, one of the things that quite heavily determines whether I enjoy a film or not is the way in which they deliver exposition around, the characters themselves and also the story of the film. And I often feel that sometimes within a film, exposition is either done really clumsily or it can feel quite laboured. And here you have something where I've never seen anything like it before. Just as you mentioned, Tom, at the first 5 minutes of the film, you get introduced to every single character, and in a really simple way of going, the narrator goes, this is blah, 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 blah. She likes, da-da-da. She doesn't like, da-da-da-da. You have got everything you need to know about those characters within the first 5 minutes of the film. And it's delivered in such a, funny, whimsical way that you can't help but enjoy it. But you're kind of like, this is actually genius, because what you've done here is now set me up for the whole film where I already understand everything about the characters without you having to do any, as I say, laboured introduction to their characters' motives, why they are like they are. We already know that. And so it means they can just focus on delivering something that is just so full of, dynamic life. That's what I've kind of took away from the thing. So I think from a development point of view, that initial opening sequence was so good. So clever. Yeah.
It saves the plot from meandering, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it can throw in all these twists and turns without having to worry about losing the audience at all.
Yeah.
But the way they do it is obviously they say a like and a dislike, but within every single one of those, there's that hidden message. You can tell, okay, well, they're a hypochondriac, or you can work out what you need to about a character from something seemingly random.
Yeah. What did you think about all the extra characters, including in the cafe, and all those relationships? You had certain characters who, like you say, hypochondriac. You had the man that was just stalking his ex, effectively, wasn't he? But then falling in love with another because Amélie manipulated that into that way. What do you think about all that? It's all sort of fluff around the story, but it all plays a part in terms of Amélie showing that she can actually pull the strings.
I think they're all necessary.
Yeah,
they're all absolutely necessary, because they each, as you say, each interact with Amélie, but then they've got their own interactions between each other that doesn't necessarily involve Amélie, and that gives you the full picture of what's going on in the cafe. It doesn't just focus on exactly what she's doing. It will show you everything, and it shows you the character's intentions without, as James was saying, you only know one snippet of information about them, but you feel like you know far more about them because you see all of their interactions in a very what seems like an almost non-scripted type, just standard day if you were to walk into a cafe anywhere, and that's why it's so relatable.